very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadis Kumar.
I'm Dishan Veerakone and here are your headlines for tonight. The World Health Organization advises that face masks must be worn at public places. The new ward complex and the intensive care unit of the Tangal Hospital, constructed at a cost of 35 million rupees, vested with the public. The Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna alleges that a statement voiced by Professor Ratnajeevan Hool is prejudicial to the party. Accidents occurring in 2 locations result in 5 deaths. Serious allegations against Trump for not taking action to bring under control acts against black Americans. Now moving on into those and other stories in detail. The World Health Organization has changed its advice on face masks, saying they should be worn in public where social distancing is not possible to help stop the spread of the coronavirus. The global body said new information showed they could provide a barrier for potentially infectious diseases.
It's June 5th, 2020. My name is Tariq and we welcome you. Masks can also create a false sense of security, leading people to neglect measures such as hand hygiene and physical distancing. I cannot say this clearly enough. Masks alone will not protect you from COVID-19. Masks are not a replacement for physical distancing, hand hygiene, and other public health measures. Masks are only of benefit as part of a comprehensive approach in the fight against COVID-19. The cornerstone of the response in every country must be to find, isolate, test, and care for every case, and to trace and quarantine every contact.
To relay recovery's negative headline data on hydrochloroquine.
In light of evolving evidence, WHO advises. Today is June 5th, 2020. My name is Tariq and we welcome you. Masks can also create a false sense of security, leading people to neglect measures such as hand hygiene and physical distancing. I cannot say this clearly enough. Masks alone will not protect you from COVID-19. Masks are not a replacement for physical distancing, hand hygiene, and other public health measures. Masks are only of benefit as part of a comprehensive approach in the fight against COVID-19. The cornerstone of the response in every country must be to find, isolate, test, and care for every case, and to trace and quarantine every contact.
To relay recovery's negative headline data on hydrochloroquine.
In light of evolving evidence, WHO advises that governments should encourage the general public to wear masks where there is widespread transmission and physical distancing is difficult, such as on public transport, in shops, or in other confined or crowded environments. Sophie? Can I have said? We hope that when the product is available, or when the product is ready, when vaccine is available, we believe that it can be accessed by those who needs it. And we will do everything with our partners to make that happen. But I will repeat, political commitment.
Now, the government commends the decision taken by the government of Lebanon to conduct PCR testing free of charge at Lebanon itself for expatriate Sri Lankans in Lebanon who are hoping to return to the island. The President's office states that as a result of the relief granted by Lebanon, it will be possible to save large amounts of foreign exchange. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa recently instructed the relevant officials to look into the possibility to have PCR tests of migrant Sri Lankans who are hoping to return to the island conducted in the respective countries and have the test results obtained. The testing, which will be done overseas, will be in addition to the testing done once arrived in the island. Upon the instructions of the President in response to a request put forward by the Sri Lanka Embassy in Beirut to the Lebanese Foreign Ministry, agreement was expressed to conduct PCR tests free of charge at Lebanon itself. According to current statistics, many expatriates in the Middle East who are hoping to return to their home countries have contracted COVID-19. The Task Force on the Control of COVID-19 stated recently that this is an additional problem when it comes to facilitating quarantine and other health requirements. In addition, for expatriate Sri Lankans who are hoping to return to the island from other Middle Eastern countries, the government has drawn plans to have PCR tests conducted in those countries before repatriation.
Now, the Tangol Suva Arana 2-story cardiac intensive care unit was vested with the public by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today. This unit was constructed within a short period of 2 months. Now, the need for a cardiac intensive care unit was felt at the Tangol Base Hospital over a considerable period of time. Therefore, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa allocated an adjacent building of the Tangol prison for the purpose of constructing this ward complex. This building was being renovated to house the ward complex since the 2nd of April. The ward complex was constructed as a social welfare project of the Ruhunu Karaliya organization, whilst the business community in the area contributed with a sum of 9.7 million rupees. The project was headed by Prime Ministerial Coordinating Secretary and Chief Organizer of the Ruhunu Karaliya, Nishantha Jayasinghe. A stock of medical equipment required to treat cardiac patients costing 40 million rupees was also donated. The ward complex also includes a restroom for the doctors and the nurses. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that we can be proud of the service rendered by the health sector of Sri Lanka. The Premier pointed out that when observing other countries, the high standards of Sri Lanka's health sector is evident. The Premier planted a sapling in the hospital premises to mark World Environment Day. Now, the Premier planted a sapling in the hospital premises to mark the World Environment Day. He was joined by Shiranti Rajapaksa, Southern Provincial Governor Dr. Willie Gamage, former Chairman of the Southern Provincial Council Somavancha Kodagoda, and a group of attendees.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna alleges that a statement voiced by member of the Elections Commission, Professor Ratnajeevan, who is prejudicial to the party. The party submitted a complaint in this regard to the Elections Commission today. Professor Hull have made the statement on a cable TV channel recently. Member of the Elections Commission, Professor Ratnajeevan Hull, alleged that print media aligning themselves with the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna are publishing fake news as they act against democracy. Professor Hull states that it is not advisable to vote for them.
விரல்ல பூசுறன்னா முட்டணும். அது எங்கட அலுவலர் ஆட்களுக்கும் பிடிக்காது, அந்த வாக்காளருக்கும் பிடிக்காது. இன்னொரு ஆள் வந்து தன்னை விரல்ல முட்டுறது. அதனால் இதுக்கு ஒரு ஸ்ப்ரே உண்ட பெட்டி ஆராய்ஞ்சு கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். நடிக்க அது எல்லா இடமும் கையில படும். இப்படியாத நுணுக்கமாக
The complaint alleging that the statement has resulted in prejudice to the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was submitted to the Elections Commission by the party General Secretary, Attorney at Law Sagar Kariyavasan. Former parliamentarian Angajan Ramanathan also submitted a complaint to the Elections Commission with regard to Professor Hull's statement yesterday.
அவர்களுடைய யோசனையை படிதான் செய்வோம் என்று அப்படி ஒரு தீர்மானம் இல்லை. நிச்சயமாக வழக்கமான விதத்தில் நடத்த முடியாது. தேர்தலில் வந்து பலர் அலாப்புறது சாதாரணமான ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சி. அலாப்பும் போது அதை நிப்பாட்டுவது எங்களுடைய கடமை. அப்ப அந்த அலாப்பும் வர்க்கத்தவர்கள் அவர்கள் வந்து எங்களை இப்படி சொல்லி விரட்டினால் தேர்தல் ஆணைக்குழுவில் இருந்து நீக்குவோம் என்று சொன்னால் நாங்கள் தாங்கள் செய்கிற அலாப்பத்தை நிப்பாட்ட மாட்டோம் என்று நினைக்கிறார்கள். 19ஆம் சீர்திருத்தத்தோடு தேர்தலில் அலாப்புவது கஷ்டமா இருக்கிறது. இப்போ எப்படி அலாப்பலாம் என்றா எனக்கு 2-3 விரட்டுகளை போட்டு எனக்கு சிங்களம் தெரியாது, அப்ப அவர் சிங்களத்தில் இருக்கிற குப்பையெல்லாம் எனக்கு வாசிக்க முடியாது. இதுல முன்னுக்கு இருக்கிற ஆட்கள் வந்து அந்த SLPP ஆதரிக்கிற சில நியூஸ் பேப்பர் ஊடகங்கள் இதுல பச்சை பொய்யாக எழுதி கொண்டு வருகிறார்கள். இவர்கள் ஜனநாயகத்துக்கு எதிரானவர்கள். இவர்களுக்கு நீங்கள் வாக்களிக்க கூடாது. இப்படி உங்களுடைய வாக்கை எடுக்கிறதுக்கு பிரச்சாரம் செய்கிறவர்களை ஏன் நீங்கள் ஆதரிப்பார்? வடிவா பார்த்து செய்யுங்க. இப்படி போய் சொல்றவர்கள் யாரை ஆதரிக்கிறார்களோ அவர்களுக்கு நீங்கள் அவர்களுடைய வாக்கை போடக்கூடாது. தமிழ் காங்கிரஸ்காரர் என்ன விரட்டினாங்க போன ஒரு தேர்தல் மூட்டம். அது நடந்தது ஜனவரி 2018ஆம் ஆண்டு. அதிலிருந்து வழக்கு இன்னும் இழுத்து கொண்டு போகுது. சட்டமா அதிபர் ஃபைல எடுத்து தானே யோசிக்கணும்னு சொல்லி ஃபைல தன்னுடைய ஆபீஸ்ல வச்சிருக்காரு.
General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Attorney at Law Sagar Karyavasam alleges that Professor Hull has made a statement which alludes to advising voters against voting for the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. The SLPP General Secretary further states that a complaint had to be made since even though individuals could be racists, regardless of what ideas they align themselves with when functioning as a member of an independent body such as the Elections Commission, which is established to uphold the rights of the people, they have the responsibility not to express their personal racist views but act in a manner which upholds the honor of the position they hold in the Commission. Therefore, the SLPP General Secretary stated that as a party, they submitted a written complaint calling on the Chairman of the Elections Commission to take immediate action with regard to the dent caused to the party and to state the stance of the Commission before the country. He further stated that there is a suspicion that this development may be some sort of a conspiracy. He alleges that this statement is not only detrimental to the party but also blots the public trust in the independent commission. The SLPP General Secretary also stated that here they are only voicing their opposition against the disastrous process of the individual by the name of Cool and not against the Elections Commission.
In the meantime, 2 accidents that were reported today have resulted in 5 deaths. 2 children aged 12 and 13 are amongst the deceased. 3 individuals were drowned when bathing in the Garandi Alla at the Madhavala Gama in the Madod Seema Police Division of Badulla. The incident occurred this morning. The deceased are the father, the daughter and the daughter of a relative, whilst 2 other children have escaped. The deceased individuals had drowned in a crevice of a depth of 12 feet at the foot of the Garandi Alla. Their bodies were recovered with the assistance of the residents of the area after a 2-hour struggle. Area residents say that this area is not suitable for bathing. Meanwhile, 2 deaths were reported in the Hathamundagala area in the Mahavala Police Division of Matale caused by electrocution. The incident occurred when a high-tension wire fell onto a parked lorry. 3 individuals were in the vehicle whilst 1 individual was able to jump out and escape.
Hello? Hello?
Four years ago, on 5th June 2016, the army weapons storage at Salava in Kosgama exploded mysteriously. The explosion occurred at around 4:30 p.m. As a result of this explosion, damages were caused to houses and properties at the Salava junction, the Muruthagama, Ranavirugama and several other villages. As the explosion occurred, certain families fled the area without taking with them any belongings, and when they returned, all they found was the debris of their homes and furniture. The people of the area say that although politicians of the previous regime visited the area and made many promises, many unresolved issues still prevail. They point out that a group that lost their houses due to the vibrations and shrapnel caused by the explosions have still not been granted adequate compensation appropriately. During the period that followed the explosions, several organizations joined together to repair the damaged houses. The people of the area say that out of these, some houses have currently become unsuitable to live in. Compensation in excess have been paid without a proper method of estimation for a small group, whilst the majority have received small compensation amounts. The relevant documents maintained at the Sitavaka Divisional Secretariat in the Colombo District Secretariat have been filed, stating that the issue has been resolved. However, residents of the Salav area say that issues faced by certain families still prevail. They further state that not having an organization to complain to in this regard is a serious issue. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was also the fifth executive president of the country, has completed a half-century in his political career. This is a segment on his revolutionary political journey. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has sealed his place in the hearts of the people as a national leader who represents the people. He took tireless efforts to ensure justice to the people, and his campaigns ranged from street protests to appearing before international organizations on behalf of the country. He was always a people-centric leader. On the 8th of January 2015, when he was defeated at the presidential election, thousands of citizens followed him to his hometown. This display of loyalty by the people was a result of over 4 decades of dedicated leadership given to the people by him. During the 2015-2019 period of time, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa received public praise that was never received previously by any leader defeated at an election. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who has called on the hearts of the people in a humble manner for over a half-century, will no doubt place his indelible mark in the political chronicles of Sri Lanka.
Now in more local stories, the island-wide curfew was lifted at 4 a.m. today. Curfew will be in place with effect from today from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. until further notice. A decision has been taken to operate public transport services as usual from Monday. Therefore, from Monday, more CTB and private buses are expected to operate. A number of passengers equivalent to the number of seats will be permitted to be transported. It is intended to deploy on temporary passenger transportation, buses that are deployed on school service, trips and tours, and buses that are still on the registration waiting list. Temporary registrations of such buses was carried out recently. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Railways has announced that steps have been taken to operate office trains, long-distance services, night mails and intercity express trains according to the usual train timetable with effect from Monday the 8th of June. However, the Nuwara Manike Express train that commutes between Colombo Fort and Badulla, the air-conditioned express that commutes between Mount Lavinia and Kankasanture, and the Pulatisi which commutes between Polonnaruwa and Colombo Fort will not run. The police headquarters issuing a release notifies that with effect from Monday, the 8th of June, the rule pertaining to traffic lanes and the bus priority lane will be implemented according to a special plan in the Colombo city. Thereby, the release states that police personnel will educate motorists in this regard until the 22nd of June. However, thereafter the law will be strictly enforced. Thereby, the traffic lane rule and the bus priority lane rule will be enforced along Olkat Mawatha, Regal, Kumaran Ratnam Mawatha, Pitta Junction, Library Roundabout and the Kollupitiya Road from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. when proceeding to Colombo and from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. when proceeding out of Colombo. This rule will also be effective from the Maliban Junction at Ratmalana to Kurusa Junction at Moratua from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. when proceeding out of Colombo. During these durations, the relevant traffic lanes should be only used by CTB buses, private buses, staff transport buses with over 20 seats, and buses and vans that transport school children.
Now, the British government has taken steps to assist Sri Lanka in the production of a vaccine to control the coronavirus. The British High Commission states that under the first phase, a sum of 10 million rupees will be granted for research purposes, and the British government expresses its appreciation to the contribution voiced by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa joining in the Global Vaccine Summit through video conferencing. Research will be underway jointly by the University of Sri Jayawardenepura and the Oxford University. Specialization support from the MRC Medical Institute of the Oxford University will be obtained in the research conducted by Sri Lanka. The Global Vaccine Summit was conducted last Thursday under the guidance of British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Together with the 32 contributory countries and 12 organizations, $8.8 billion was collected for the vaccine program to protect 300 million children globally from contagious diseases.
Support economic growth and well-being.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity.
For instance, in vaccines,
9 new confirmed COVID-19 cases were reported today, out of which 8 were naval personnel, whilst the other was a returnee from Kuwait. Yesterday, 4 COVID-19 infected patients were detected, out of which 2 were Navy personnel, whilst the other 2 were returnees from Bangladesh. Amongst the COVID-19 patients reported in the country as at today, 890 cases have been reported from amongst Navy personnel and their close associates. This is a percentage of 49.17. In addition, 606 COVID-19 positive persons have been identified from amongst returnees from overseas. This is a percentage of 33.48. All other COVID-19 positive patients were identified locally. The number currently stands at 313 and is a percentage of 17.29. Meanwhile, a flight carrying a group of 235 Sri Lankan migrants which left the Hamburg airport in Germany touched down at the Mattala Mahinda Rajapaksa International Airport today. It is reported that the returnees are individuals engaged in the maritime sector. Biosamples were obtained for PCR testing, after which the returnees were sent to quarantine.
In the meantime, British scientists halted a major drug trial on Friday after it found that the anti-malarial hydroxychloroquine touted by US President Donald Trump as a potential game changer in the pandemic was useless at treating COVID-19 patients. Scientists in the UK halted trials of anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine yesterday.
Scientists in the UK halted trials of anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine on Friday after finding it useless at treating COVID-19 patients. Martin Landray, an Oxford University professor co-leading the recovery trial, told reporters it doesn't work. Results showed no significant difference in death rates after 28 days, in length of hospital stay or in other outcomes for patients either taking the drug or not. US President Donald Trump has hailed the drug as a potential game changer.
Many are taking it. I happen to be taking it.
hydroxychloroquine.
I'm taking it, hydroxychloroquine. Right now, yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I started taking it. Because I think it's good. I've heard a lot of good stories.
But controversy over its use grew after a study published in the medical journal The Lancet last month raised safety concerns. The study was then retracted on Thursday after its authors said they were unsure about its data. The World Health Organization is continuing its clinical trial of hydroxychloroquine pending a review.
Now shifting focus to South Korea, a handful of rubber floats tumbled down the giant slide at South Korea's largest water park, the Caribbean Bay, on Friday, its first day back in business since the coronavirus pandemic hit. Rubber floats tumbled down the giant slide at South Korea's largest water park on Friday, its first day back in business as restrictions ease.
Rubber floats tumbled down the giant slide at South Korea's largest water park on Friday. its first day back in business as restrictions in the country ease. Only one ride was operating at Caribbean Bay, located in Yongin, southeast of Seoul. But for 9-year-old Lee Ji-woo, this was more than enough after weeks of closures and self-isolation.
It was so boring and stuffy studying and watching TV at home, so it's really exciting to be outside.
While South Koreans will now be able to splish-splash through the summer at Caribbean Bay, new social distancing rules will make cooling off more complicated. Under government guidelines announced for South Korea's water parks, people will have to maintain distance in pools as well as locker rooms. Plus, the operators of Caribbean Bay, Samsung C&T, are implementing additional restrictions. Visitors must first fill out an online health form and then have their temperatures checked before being allowed in. Inside, employees carry out disinfection operations every hour, and everyone is asked to wear face masks when not in the water. The park provides plastic bags to keep masks dry when not in use. While there were fewer visitors than usual on its first day open, more are expected as summer gets underway.
Now, the local government representatives of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna were educated on the moves to be taken to restore the country after the COVID-19 epidemic. The inaugural program took effect from the Colombo district whilst adhering to health and safety guidelines. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna has notified its organizers that future meetings should also be conducted with adherence to health guidelines. The meeting to educate local government representatives of the Colombo East Division was held at Narayanpeta today. Such meetings are being held in 142 electorates over the weekend. Well, the Department of Agriculture has implemented a special measure to control the yellow-spotted grasshoppers that are spreading in several areas in the island. Farmers are being educated on the measure at Divisional Secretariat level. This pest is currently spreading in several areas in the Kegaul district. Agriculture Director General Dr. W.M.W. Virakun conducted an inspection tour of the area with a group of agricultural officials today. The yellow-spotted grasshopper, which was first confined to home gardens, has currently spread to cultivations of tea, coconut and rubber. On previous occasions, the yellow-spotted grasshoppers were reported in areas such as Mathura, Ambepussa and Kilinochchi. The Department of Agriculture states that assistance can be sought with regard to controlling the yellow-spotted grasshopper over telephone number 1920.
Of tonight's primetime news. Until we meet again next time, do take care, stay safe and good night.
Good night.